los derechos de los trabajadores y trabajadoras, que protege los derechos de los pueblos indígenas. Ayer, hace 2 días, tuvimos aquí en Caracas un gran encuentro de las comunidades originarias, comunidades indígenas, que también nos acompañan el día de hoy, como compañeras y compañeras. Y precisamente vimos una manifestación maravillosa.
A marvelous demonstration, a love demonstration of commitment, peace, but also a firm demonstration to defend what we have conquered during these years. First place, our independence. And from there, we have conquered all possible rights for workers, for citizenship from our homeland. That only can deviate from that route, as President Nicolas Maduro said. And today we are in this meeting here in Caracas to analyze in different ways, in different tables that we're going to have, where we're going to analyze the military threat, the problems of the organized transnational crime that tried to root here in Venezuela and was defeated also by the firm position of our government. We have to treat this aspect that they try to revive from the north, the so-called Monroe Doctrine, that doctrine that pretends to generate a whole domination in the American continent from the United States of America. And we, facing this Monroe Doctrine, we will say that we have our own doctrine, the Bolivarian doctrine, the doctrine of peace and the doctrine of the people to conquer the independence. We hope that in these tables, in this working day, we could not only make a resume of the situation that we have discussed in the last month, including many of you has been here previously here in Caracas, but also we can get from Caracas the permanent constitution of this assembly of the people as another space, as another place, not to debate only, not to make rhetorical things about our ideals, just to build a new structure that can mobilize all worldwide, because this deployment that the Empire is doing is without any answer for the people, then we are going to be in a domination scenario in the whole Latin America. So this assembly, popular assembly for peace and sovereignty in our America, must constitute a strong arm and a structure that allows us to give a sovereign answer, an independent answer to the threat that are over our peoples. We have tried from the Peace Council and Sovereignty to create doctrines, and there are many documents, many expressions, and above all, many organizations that we should assess it and analyze it and make new action proposals. The world is watching us. The solidarity that has awakened all peoples from the world for Venezuela, for its government, popular movements, political parties, it is spectacular. And it fills us with hope, proud, and satisfaction to keep on walking forward in this task. They are violating all the rights known worldwide. The United Charter is being violated. The protocols in aerial matters, they are violating all what we know, all the world norms known, and we can't allow it to happen. But also, this battle about being, meaning that we have seen this violation, it is also satisfactory because we have shown that there is a people that deny, that rejects to be dominated. But not only that, but also that is walking forward with the firm steps in front of aggression, the revolutionary offensive, the building of new movements, the building of concrete actions to answer not only to the imperialism, but also to their allies, to the operators in our country that we know that are the grossest thing, that are the same operators that were against the independence of our people 200 years ago, are the same families, are the same last names, who pretend to revoke, firstly, the independence of our people, which was conquered 200 years ago by Bolivar, San Martin, Morazan. And today they pretend to surrender, to yell in front of this another empire that Bolivar was warning us 200 years ago. I think that from here we have to see concrete things. The Constitution of the People's Assembly in Caracas, where flows all the forces, sovereign forces, progressive forces, independent forces, for love, not only for our America, because today the battle is in America, and that is why that War Department from USA has deployed their fleet in the Caribbean, and just with one goal. Trump, in an interview today, was threatening to bombing or attack territories in Colombia, Mexico, Venezuela. Today, he's trying to impose domination, and we are a rebel people, dignified people that have fought and have defeated empires with few resources, just with the love for its land. So today, it is a happy day, today and tomorrow. It is a festivity day, tomorrow precisely. We are in parallel with this event. We're going to celebrate one more year from the Sanfanés battle, where the General Ezequiel Zamora defeated the Godos in an epic action that allowed to build a path to the liberty that always was cut by the hand, by the invisible hand, the dangerous and gross hand of the oligarchs, national oligarchs. Today we are not going to allow that. Today we have a mandatory in our people, of all our people, that is to triumph. So welcome all of you here to Caracas, and I want to make use of this stage that was given to me to give the very first place. Could be sitting or from there sitting, to our comrade and friend Abel Prieto, President of the American House in Cuba. Long live Cuba. Long live Cuba.
¡Viva! ¡Viva Chávez!
Viva Chávez. Long live
¡Viva
Chávez.
Maduro!
Long live Maduro.
Un abrazo muy fuerte
A very
desde La Habana, desde Cuba, desde la Casa
tight
de las
hug
Américas.
from Havana, from the America's House, to all the comrades,
Hermano Jorge Rodríguez,
dear brother Jorge Rodriguez,
Jerry Van Gil, Andrea,
Minister Andres Gil, Andrea Blanquita,
compañeros fundadores de la red que veo por ahí,
founders from the Red,
compañera, una mujer extraordinaria,
an
la
extraordinary
hija de
woman,
Leidita Guevara.
Che Guevara's daughter, Leidita Guevara.
Veo desde aquí a
I
mi
see
hermano
from
Miguel
here
Ángel Pérez Pirela,
my
que
brother
ha dado
Miguel
un
Ángel
vuelco
Pérez, who
a la
has
red de
make a
intelectuales,
turn
artistas y luchadores
to
sociales
the
en
web,
defensa de la
an
humanidad.
artist web defending the humanity.
Arreaza, hermano, Jorge Arreaza,
Jorge
Yuri,
Arraza, brother, Rander, Judy,
compañeras que no las conozco
the cameras that I know them
maravillosas,
personally, but they are
querida
wonderful.
Camila,
Andrea,
y Clara Vidal.
and Clara
Un abrazo
Vidal.
muy fuerte
A
desde La
tight
Habana,
hug
Cuba,
from
y a todos
Havana,
los
from
demás
Cuba to
que no puedo
all
nombrar.
of you that I can name.
Quiero decir
I want to say
que estoy muy orgulloso
that I'm very
que hay una
proud
gran
that
delegación
there is a
cubana. Bueno,
big Cuban
yo-
delegation.
yo veía
Well,
desde aquí las banderas.
I was
Ahí
watching
están.
from here the flags. Cuba, Venezuela. Only one flag. Cuba, Venezuela, only one flag.
Quería saludar también a la
I would like to
compañera
read
Tania
also
Díaz,
Tania,
quien admiro y quiero tanto,
which I admire and love a lot,
a la queridísima María
to the
León,
dear
que nos visitó,
Maria Leon who visited us,
mujer extraordinaria,
an extraordinary
tuve un
woman.
encuentro
We had a
con
meeting
ella y con
with her
Edgardo
and with
del grupo
Edgar
parlamentario
from the
de
parliamentary
Pero bueno,
group of friendship.
le prometí a Miguel Ángel
Well,
que
I
iba a ser
promised
breve,
Miguel Ángel I was gonna be
exactamente. Él es mi jefe en la red.
short. He is my web
Me siento
boss.
realmente muy orgulloso,
I'm really very
Blanquita,
proud,
de la
Blanquita,
delegación que está hoy de Cuba aquí, que
by the Cuban
hoy se
delegation
nutrió
that
con
is
otros muchos compañeros que llegaron
full
de La
with
Habana,
another
de Maduro,
comrades that came from Havana in the early morning.
representantes
They are
de todos
represented
sectores
from
de
all
nuestra sociedad.
sectors in our society.
De nuestro capítulo cubano de la red,
From
hay
our
representantes
chapter
acá
in
de
the
la
web,
Federación de Mujeres
there are
Cubanas.
representatives here from the
Ahí están
Cuban Women Federation,
la mujer cubana como
the
la mujer
Cuban women
venezolana
as
tan
the
bella, tan
Venezuelan
valiente.
women as beautiful, courageous.
El puntal de la resistencia está en nuestras mujeres. Yo estoy convencido.
The pole of our resistance, I'm convinced about that.
De la Asamblea Nacional,
From the
compañero que
National
preside la
Assembly,
comisión,
the one that presides the
se me olvidó
commission,
tu nombre, hermano.
Alberto,
Gracias.
thank you.
Es mi hermano, pero
He's my brother, but
Bueno,
Alzheimer, yes.
de los CDR,
From
de
the
los comités de defensa, están
defense
acá
committees
también,
of the revolution are also in
la
here.
ANAP,
From the
toda
work,
la
Countrymen
organizaciones de la
Association,
sociedad
all
civil
the organizations from the
revolucionarias
civil
cubanas
organization
están acá
are in here in Caracas,
representando a nuestro pueblo.
representing our
Hubiera
people
querido estar
that
acá
would like to
también.
be here too.
Quiero decirles que nuestro pueblo,
I would
el
like to
pueblo de
say
Cuba ha
that the
seguido
Cuban
en
people
detalle
has
toda esta
followed
escalada,
detailedly all
esta
this
escalada criminal,
escalate,
todas
criminal
las
escalate,
mentiras,
all the
una tras de
lies,
otra.
one after
Usan
the
la
other.
mentira como
They
un
use the
arma de
lie as a
guerra
weapon
permanentemente para confundir,
permanently to
confundir a los amigos del
confuse
mundo, para
the friends
tratar
of
de
the world,
dividir
to
al
try
pueblo de
to
Cuba, al pueblo de
divide the
Venezuela.
people, the Cuban people and the Venezuelan
Realmente,
people.
Ha sido muy
And really,
admirable
it has
la
been
respuesta que ha
very,
dado el
it
presidente
is
Maduro y el
admirable
pueblo
just the
venezolano
answer
a
that
esta escalada.
President Maduro has been given to the escalation. We have
Cada día, todas
followed
las-
this in
todos
detail
los
every
infames
day.
de un imperio
The
que
gross
está en
thing
decadencia.
that in
Un
a
imperio que está en
decadence
decadencia y
empire,
lo sabe.
and they know that
Hablaba el
they are
canciller
weakened.
Gil hablaba de
Canciller Ivanov was speaking about the multipolar world, that it is inevitable that is going to be imposed facing just the old world.
Hemos visto desde Cuba
We have seen from Cuba how millions of Venezuela. I was in a meeting from the institute in Simón Bolívar.
millones de venezolanos
Millions of
respondieron
Venezuela
a la convocatoria del
answered
presidente
to
Nicolás Maduro
the
para
call from
alistarse en las milicias populares.
Nicolas Maduro's call and enlist in the popular militia.
Todos los cubanos
And all
recordamos
Cubans
aquella doctrina
remember
de Fidel, de
that
Raúl de la
Fidel
guerra de
doctrine
todo el pueblo.
of the
Una
Fidel,
doctrina también
the
asumida por
war
el
for
compañero
all the
Díaz-Canel,
people.
la guerra de todo
That
el
was
pueblo.
assumed also
Y
for
el pueblo
President
bolivariano,
Díaz-Canel.
el pueblo
And the Bolivarian people,
se ha
the Venezuelan
alistado
people,
con
has
alegría
enlisted
del canciller.
happiness. With happiness,
Aquí no he visto a nadie
I have
con
seen
miedo,
nobody
nadie que se
afraid,
sienta inseguro.
nobody
La gente
insecure
ha
people
asumido
have assumed
con mucha valentía, con mucha
courageously,
firmeza,
firmly,
con mucho coraje, con mucha
courageous,
dignidad,
with
el llamado
dignity,
a la batalla
the call
que ha dado
to the battle
el
that has
Maduro,
been given by
dirección
President
del
Maduro
Partido Socialista
and the President of the
Venezuela.
United Socialist Party of Venezuela.
Y el tipo de compromiso
And the
que yo
kind
noté
of
aquí,
commitment that I have seen here, I saw an event that you
105
did about the 205 years
de Jamaica,
from Jamaica letter, the 5th year of the Simón Bolívar Institute, an indigenous young woman, I don't remember before, Aguayú, Yucpa, an indigenous young girl said they are not going to trespass. We are not to give in 1 millimeter of this land. We are going to be on the first line. And she sent a love message to Chavez that he's still nutritioning us. They are not going to trespass. And for Venezuela, they are not going to trespass. And for Cuba, fascism is not going to cross, or the imperialism. Of course, they are not going to cross through our America. Even here, the minister, foreign minister, said it's not only the Caribbean, it's not Venezuela, it is the world level. That thing that Jose Marti was calling just the world balance. We have to stop that gross offensive that violates, as Ivan here said, violate all convivence norms, all world legality, has been violated by these people. And Ivan also was saying an interview with Trump threatening to bomb Venezuela, Mexico, and I guess Cuba too. You said Colombia too. So guess what? In his alleged war against narco-traffic, Fidel said, doctors, no bombs, is what humanity needs. Doctors, no bombs. And here we have many Cuban doctors here in Venezuela. Some of them have finished their mission, and they don't want to leave right now. They want to stay here, firmly in here, together with the Venezuelan people. Here I have a note. Miguel Ángel told me 15 minutes in the early morning. Here, with this big delegation that is coming from Cuba, there are thousands of collaborators. Our ambassador was explaining all that. Stand up, please, poet. He is a big diplomat at the Cuban style and the Bolivarian style. He's far from any protocol. He is a brother that works every day with the Venezuelan people and with the representative of Cuba. He said, in all states in Venezuela, there are thousands of Cuban collaborators. And they are eager just to take the same luck of the Bolivarian people. And there are more than 1,000 that are ending their mission, and they ask to continue in this difficult moment. They're coming out from Venezuela, and they wanted to take the same luck from the Venezuelan people, the same fate. I have to say also that this solidarity between Cuba and Venezuela has been mutual. Last night, our ambassador was showing a message from Nicolás Maduro. In the moment that Hurricane Melissa that hurt the eastern provinces, in the moment that the storm was becoming a hurricane, Nicolás Maduro was asking our ambassador to say the moment in which Santiago de Cuba airport was ready just to send help. And this has been an unstoppable help. All the time it's been arriving help from the Venezuelan people. From then on, that help has been unstoppable from this land, from Nicolás Maduro and Chavez to the country of Martí Fidel. Thank you, brother. I don't say if you. My heart with Nicolás and my great to him. Thank you for all that. And thank to the brothers from Venezuela, all the ones that have helped. That Melissa hurricane hurt her a lot. And one of the most difficult moments, in one of the most difficult moments of the Cuban Revolution, this today is one of the more complex, with big challenges to go on, with a blockade that it is short to say blockade. It is an economic war, a gross word against to destroy tourism, to finish the campaign against the Cuban doctors that have been gross. So countries that has a commitment with Cuba, they take their visa. And in this difficult moment, I really want to say that I am really, really happy that our party, our organizations, from the civics organization have representative in this crucial moment in our country too. And we have to say something. I know that the webs, Simon Bolivar Institution, the PC, the party has been working in the organization of this event. I know it is very complex under these circumstances to organize a massive event like this, to get what Ivan said that we have to get. What we discuss in here, it will become a working structure, a mobilization to fight against imperialism, active defend peace, in facing the hatred, the insult, the lie. And we know that many friends, even from the United States, Europe, has called us. Our ambassador has said to say if they make a triangle and came through Havana, they have done that particular effort because there are airlines that are bow in front of the order of the emperor. They have bowed and they have finished their flights, and they have made difficult many people that wanted to be here, they can't be here. It has been a prowess to organize a meeting like this in the middle of this, what Nicolás Maduro called psychological terrorism. It is something that recovers 200 years after the Monroe Doctrine. He reivindicated. I remember in America's House, I make sentences about it between Monroe and Ayacucho. Or we are with the Monroe Doctrine, or we are with the fighters from and winners from Ayacucho. We have always going to be with Ayacucho. Now this lie factory has spread something very gross. Mayo just also said that to me, that Cuban officers were talking to interfere in the affairs of Venezuela. It is lie, is a permanent lie. Mondali, Eliron, they lie. All the time they are lying. And really, they want to divide us, and that's impossible. In a meeting that was organized in Havana, Ivan Jorge Blanquita, that Maneiro organized, Ambassador Maneiro organized in Havana, I remember something that Fidel said regarding to Vietnam. For Vietnam, we are eager to give our own blood. And I would say in here, even very sure that for Venezuela, we are also ready to give our own blood. And I make use that Aleidita Guevara is in here to remember that immortal man from our America and the whole world, Che Guevara, and end with he said, till victory always. We shall overcome. Don't let
amenazas imperiales, líderes sociales, intelectuales, artistas y movimientos sociales reafirman el compromiso mundial.
Presidente de la Casa de las Américas, hemos tomado nota.
We have taken note. I want to give the floor to the Vice President of the jurists, continental jurists, that comes from Argentina, Comrade Andrea Lausen. Go ahead, Comrade. Well, thank you very much.
Gracias, compañero canciller. Qué honor.
Thank you, Prime Minister.
De la noble República Bolivariana de Venezuela. Un gran honor estar
It is
aquí,
an honor to be here, Jorge
Muchas
Rodriguez,
gracias,
Blanca,
muchas gracias.
Edgar. Thank you very much.
Hermano, amigo Abel Prieto.
Brother Abel Prieto,
Muchas gracias, buenos días,
thank you.
compañeras,
Morning,
compañeros, muchas gracias.
comrades, thank you.
Tanto al Instituto Simón Bolívar
To the
como a
Simón
la
Bolívar
Red de
Institution,
Defensa de la
to the
Humanidad
web
que
in
integro
defense
por
of humanity,
invitación y por hacer
for
posible que
having
estemos
me here and making us possible to be here. It was not easy,
Pero acá estamos
but here we are.
y realmente es un gusto estar
And
aquí en Caracas.
I am very proud to be here in Venezuela, free territory from America Latina, Latin America. We arrived last night late. We traveled many hours.
Como varios otros compañeros,
As
como
another
otros compañeras
comrades,
y compañeros, haciendo el esfuerzo
doing an
de
effort
todos ustedes también
of
por
all,
traernos.
of all of you also just to bring, to have us in here.
Sábado, domingo, hasta
The ones that have worked
próximo,
Saturday and
haciendo
Sunday
la
till
derecha.
late, trying to get the tickets. Here we are. Why
Bueno,
are we here?
vinimos a defender el derecho
We,
a la paz
we came to defend the right of
del pueblo
peace
venezolano,
from the Venezuelan people.
que en realidad es la paz de
That
de
in
todos
reality
nuestros pueblos,
is
de
the
todos
peace
los
of all
pueblos
our
de
peoples, of all our
Porque aquí
Latin
y
American
ahora
peoples,
está en
because
juego la paz de
now
nuestro continente.
the peace is at
Esta paz-
stake.
Vamos a bajar un poquito. Esta paz
This
debemos
peace
considerarla
that
de manera
we have to
positiva,
consider in a
integral,
positive way,
no de
integrated
manera
way,
negativa como la ausencia de guerra o la ausencia
not
de
in
conflicto
negative
armado,
way like
sino como
the
un
absence
derecho
of
humano
conflicts, but it is
inherente
a
y
human
necesario para
right
el goce de
and
todos los
necessary for
derechos de las
all,
personas,
for having all the
como
other
lo
rights,
entendió las Naciones Unidas
as
hace un
United
tiempo.
Nations
Pero también como un
understood it.
derecho de los
But
pueblos,
also it is a
lo que
right
se
of the
tradujo.
people. That's something that is not
Esta
very
paz
very much spoken.
que se encuentra
This peace that
amenazada,
today is threatened,
quebrantada,
broken,
en este momento por los actos de agresión
in this moment from
contra la
the
integridad territorial
aggression from
y
the
la
integrity,
política,
the
se
independence
encuentra desplegando el
that is
imperialismo
deploying
en el
imperialism
Caribe y en
in the
particular en
Caribbean,
Venezuela,
particularly in front of
violando
Venezuela,
los principios básicos
violating
de
the
la Carta de las
basic
Naciones
principle
Unidas
of
y
the
del derecho
United Nations
internacional
Charter
contemporáneo.
and the
Un derecho internacional
international right,
cuyos principios
which
básicos
basic
fundantes
principles
hoy son violados
today
de
are
manera
violated
reiterada por el poder imperial.
shamelessly by the
Recordemos el 2.4
imperialism.
de la Carta, la prohibición del uso
We
de la
remember
fuerza,
the
el uso
use
de
of
la
force,
fuerza,
the threat of
el
using of
principio de
force,
injerencia en
the
asuntos
principle of
internos,
not interference in internal
violaciones que
affairs,
vemos todos los
violation
días
that we are
en
seeing all days in a rosy way.
Esta agresión que es necesario
This
mencionar,
aggression that
marca
is
dentro de
very
lo que
good,
llamamos
very important to
guerra
say,
híbrida,
that is in
que
the
ya el
framework
imperialismo
of
viene desplegando
hybrid war, the
contra
imperialism
nuestros
is
pueblos,
doing
los
against our
pueblos de
people,
nuestra América,
the people of
a
our
través de golpes de
America,
Estado,
through
intentos de golpes de Estado,
coups or
fraudes
trying to
o
coup,
manipulación de
frauds,
elecciones,
manipulation
guerra
of election,
coercitiva,
cognitive
guerra
war,
económica,
economical
a través de
war,
las medidas coercitivas
through
y
coercitive
unilaterales y
and
bloqueos
unilateral
contra
wars
Venezuela,
against
contra
Venezuela,
contra
Cuba, Nicaragua,
y lawfare, que también
and
es
the
otro
lawfare,
de
that is another
esta
war
utilización
method,
de los medios
is the
de los
using
poderes
of
judiciales
the
de nuestros
judicial
países,
powers in our
totalmente
countries,
cooptados por los
cut
poderes
by the
establecidos
power,
contra
established powers
los líderes políticos
against
de nuestros
the
pueblos.
political leaders of our peoples.
¿Qué hacer
What to
ante
do
esta guerra, o
facing
estas
these
guerras que se
wars
están
that
librando
are
contra nuestros pueblos,
doing
contra nuestro continente?
against our people, against our
Bueno,
continent?
consideramos que la
Well,
lucha por la
let's
paz
consider that
precisa un
the
enfoque
struggle for peace
anticolonialista
needs
también.
an
Aparte de
anti-colonialist
imperialista.
way,
¿Por qué?
apart from being
Porque este
anti-imperialism,
despliegue militar
because
en el
the
Caribe y
deployment,
en
military
sectores
deployment in the
solo
Caribbean
es posible
It is only possible thanks to the quantity of military bases that United States or OTAN, NATO has in the Caribbean, like in Malvinas or in Colombia. On another side, we have to refute this contemporaneous right founded in 1945 after the Second War, just to avoid a third World War, things that they are not accomplishing it because we have today, in words of Francisco the Pope, a world war, a fragmented world war. And this trying to avoid a world war was based on the main principle of the letter, to forbid the use of force, all which is disappeared. And we have an international right, and the international trials, they have not the power. Also, this international contemporaneous right have the objective to avoid a genocide. It happened in Rwanda and Yugoslavia, and today we have to suffer looking the suffering of the Palestinian people in a straight transmission to the Gaza people. That is why, on one side, we have to refute this international right, and on the other, simultaneously, without stop denouncing all these violations, we should start to develop a new international legacy for our people from the South. In this sense, we came here a month ago for an international jurist meeting for peace, in which some of the we participate, some of the Latin American jurist delegation. We were about 130 lawmen from 35 countries. There we were talking about these topics, and some of the Venezuelan comrades were in there too. The importance of that meeting is that we had an action plan that we are carrying out. We are going to constitute a World League of jurists defending the peace and international right. We are working on that. We have different working team. We are coordinating action to make that happen. And we started to work. The first action that we developed together was an open letter, an urgent to the OEA, where we signed that letter demanding them that if they were so worried, concerned about the human rights in Cuba, to see if they call the attention to USA and tell them that they are violating all the international principles, and they have to guarantee keeping the peace and international security as a main goal from the United Nations. And we are working on other actions too. And we are at the disposition of the comrades that can need support from lawmakers in the world. We are not too many, but we are good and strong. This organization that we are working with, it needs as a support the people's diplomacy to carry on the fight, a fight that must be for peace, but this fight for peace must be anti-colonialist, anti-imperialism, and anti-fascism. It won't be possible if fascism couldn't be reinstalled in our country. I say that from Argentina, with all what we have, a fascist government supported by another fascist government like the Trump one. That is why, and to finish, the Venezuelan people and their governors are carrying out a fight to defend their right to peace.
que debemos
that
agradecer
we should
profundamente.
be proud of it deeply, because peace in Venezuela is the peace of all of
Los
us.
demás pueblos de nuestra
The rest
América
of the people in our America
obligados a
are
acompañar esta
obliged
resistencia.
to come with them
Porque
in this
justamente
resistance,
lo que quiere
because
hacer el
what
imperialismo es
imperialism
apagar
wants to
al
have,
americano.
it
No
is
lo vamos a permitir.
it is to take a part of the American people, and we are not going to allow that. They won't trespass.
De los pueblos por la soberanía y la paz de nuestra América, que se desarrolla con más de 400 delegados de más de 50
The
naciones
delegates
que
from the
asisten a
over
nuestro
50
país
nations are
y que
taking
Our united America. Long live free Venezuela.
Viva Palestina libre.
Long live free Palestina.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias,
are
compañera.
here gathering in Caracas to take part of this assembly.
varios ejes temáticos como la guerra económica y extorsión política,
400 delegates for over 5 countries have gathered, as we're saying here in Caracas, for these assemblies of the people for sovereignty and peace in our continent. Let's continue to listen to the statements.
Que precisamente
Precisely,
hace pocas semanas tuvimos
few
un
weeks ago,
debate
we had a debate
jurídico del derecho internacional
of
extraordinario que nos
international
sentó en base
law
precisamente
that was the
avanzar con
grassroots
fuerza. Y sin
to
más
advance
preámbulo,
strongly.
quiero darle la palabra
Well,
para
I'm going to give
que
the floor
concluya la instalación
to
de
end
esta Asamblea de los Pueblos por la Soberanía
the beginning
y
of
la Paz de
this
nuestra América, al
assembly
compañero y camarada Dr. Jorge Rodríguez,
to
presidente
Jorge
de la
Rodríguez,
Asamblea
President
Nacional
of
de la
the
República
National
Bolivariana de
Assembly of
Venezuela.
Venezuela.
Bienvenidas,
Welcome.
bienvenidos. Casi 1000 invitados
Almost 1,000
que lograron
participants
burlar
that-
el cerco
that-
brutal
that
del imperialismo
reach
para
to
intentar
cross the
aislar
fence
a
that
Venezuela.
the imperialism did to try to isolate Venezuela.
Este encuentro,
This meeting,
esta asamblea,
this assembly,
esta conjunción
this conjunction of
e ideas de
souls,
mujeres y hombres libres de
of
50
ideas
50
of free
países de este
women and
planeta
men from 50
demuestran
countries in this
que ha fracasado
planet
el
the-
imperialismo norteamericano
shows that they have failed in their attempt
aislar
to isolate
al pueblo de
the Venezuelan people,
venezolana.
the Bolivarian Revolution.
Bienvenidas y bienvenidos
Welcome
a la ciudad que vio nacer
to the city
al hombre que
that
libertó el
saw the
continente,
birth of the man
Simón
who
José Antonio
freed
Bolívar Palacios
the American continent, Simon Bolivar Palacios and Blanco.
bienvenidas
Welcome all of you
a la tierra bendita,
to the blessed land that
a ese
saw the
relámpago de
birth
libertad
of
y
that
ternura llamado
lightning
Hugo Chávez,
of
que encabeza la
tendership,
batalla por la libertad,
Hugo
la
Chavez, who is
soberanía y
heading
la paz de
the
Venezuela.
battle from Venezuela, sovereignty and peace. Chavez lives on, and the homeland goes on.
Queridas hermanas
Dear brothers, dear sisters
que nos acompañan
that are together with us from the whole world, from our continent, from Europe, Asia, Africa,
queremos insistir
we want to
en lo
insist
que ha sido el planteamiento
in what
de
has
este
been
tipo
the
de
main
encuentros, de este
speaking
tipo de reuniones.
of this kind of
Sean
meeting,
encuentros
to be
para la
meetings
construcción
to build
de una verdadera red libertaria.
a really
Que sean
a
encuentros
beautiful web
para la edificación
to
de
edificate
nuevas estructuras
new
que
structures
sirvan a los pueblos libres y soberanos
to be used
para
for
enfrentar
free
cualquier
countries to
tipo
face
de
any
agresión.
kind of aggression.
Querido canciller de la República, Iván Gil,
Dear Foreign Minister
hermano
Ivan Hill,
Abel Prieto,
Brother
presidente
Ivan Prieto,
de la
President
Casa de las
of the
Américas.
America's
Yo
House,
metí la planilla para las redes intelectuales, pero no me aceptaron. por
I,
lo tanto,
I,
puedo hablar
I,
15
I,
minutos, a ver.
I will speak more than
Felipe
15
no
minutes.
tiene, en ese sentido, ningún tipo de
He has
orden sobre
no
el
order
tiempo de las palabras. Hablaré
over
16 a 17.
the word time. Yeah, I will speak 60 minutes.
siempre
Andrea,
firme y solidaria
that is always firm and with solidarity,
y de las
defending the
leyes a favor
international law.
todas y todos quienes están aquí.
All of you,
En el fondo,
deep in the bottom,
el gran o la consecuencia principal
the main consequence
de esta agresión brutal que ha
of this
desplegado
gross aggression that have deployed, it is
en el Mare Nostrum de
a
la Paz,
peace
el Mar Caribe,
sea
que ha desplegado
that has
el
deployed
22%
the
de la
22%
fuerza
of the
naval
Navy
de
force
brutal
of
que
this
haya
brutal empire
conocido
that have
la
met
historia de la humanidad.
history of humanity.
En el fondo,
At the deep bottom,
podríamos decir
we could say
que la consecuencia principal
that the main
es
consequence
que respiran por
is
herida.
that they are breathing through
Respiran por
wounds.
herida,
They are breathing through
porque
wounds
esta no es una agresión
because
de 4 meses.
this is not a 4-month
Respiran
aggression.
por herida
They
porque
are
han
breathing
recurrido
through
a todo
wounds
tipo
because
de
they have
formas
done
de
all
mecanismos de
kind
agresión,
mechanism of
desde las
aggression,
agresiones,
from
del
the
asedio económico, el
the
bloqueo
economical
brutal
aggressions
que llevó el ingreso de
and the
Venezuela
blockade
al 1%
to Venezuela
de lo que
gross
recibía
domestic
este pueblo
product to the
este país
1%
en
to what we
revolución
received
bolivariana.
during the Bolivarian
El asedio y la
Revolution,
agresión bajo
the
todas las
aggression
formas
under
de
any
buscar
kind of
aislar
to
a la
isolate
tierra venezolana.
the Venezuelan land.
El asedio y la agresión en forma de lawfare,
The aggression
porque
in
para eso
lawful
es que
way,
existen esas instituciones
because that is why those institutions
que
exist,
supuestamente
that supposedly,
fueron
allegedly,
edificadas
were
desde la Organización
made
de Naciones
from United
Unidas
Nations
para que los países pudieran
for
recurrir
countries to go
frente a situaciones y
when they had
prevenir
situations and so prevent
forma de horror
any
bélico.
kind of bellicism.
Una consecuencia directa de la
A
Segunda
direct
Guerra Mundial,
consequence from the Second
la
World War,
Organización de Naciones Unidas, pero
the
también
United Nations,
las
but
llamadas
also
instituciones
the so-called multilateral
multilaterales. Pero en
institutions.
su gran mayoría,
But in the big majority, those institutions, multilateral institutions, they are not another thing that
que formas de
ways
agresión
of lawfare,
en contra de
ways
gobiernos
of aggression
independientes
against
y en contra
free
de
governments
pueblos
and against
soberanos.
sovereign peoples.
Casi todas,
Almost all of them,
desde esas instituciones,
from that
se ha atacado
institution,
y se ha
they are
agredido
attacking
al
also
gobierno revolucionario
the
bolivariano.
revolutionary and Bolivarian government of Venezuela and the Venezuelan
Una
people.
agresión multifactorial, se dice
A
fácil,
multifactorial aggression. It is easy just to say, but it has caused pain to our people.
ha costado
It has caused
que el acelerado proceso
that the
de
accelerated process
recuperación del estado de bienestar del pueblo
of
de Venezuela
recovering
ha sido
the
postergado.
the wellness of our people.
Son 962 sanciones ilegales, ilegítimas, unilaterales de los mecanismos de poder estadounidense y europeos en contra de Venezuela. ¿Cuántas vidas han costado esas sanciones?
Have
¿Cuántas
seen
niñas y niños
how many kids have seen,
retardado sus procesos operatorios? Les pongo solamente
and I'm going to
un
write
ejemplo
just
para
one
que
example,
todos.
the grossest of all of them. Venezuela,
Por Chávez
for Chavez
y por Maduro,
and Maduro,
cuenta con un
is
programa denominado programa
having
Simón Bolívar,
a Simon Bolivar program.
que es un programa
That is a program,
hermoso
a beautiful program,
que servía
that
para que el dinero de la empresa Citgo
was for Citgo money was
costosos tratamientos de las llamadas
used
por los médicos
very
de
expensive
catastróficas
catastrophic
niñas y niños
diseases
en los
of
mejores hospitales.
boys and girls in the best hospital of the world.
Cuando Estados Unidos de esa empresa, en lugar de ir a
And
pagar a los hospitales
instead of going to pay to those hospitals in Rome, Madrid, Boston,
de Beijing, de Moscú,
from Beijing, Moscow,
de Estambul,
from Istanbul,
en lugar de utilizarse para
instead of using that money to pay that medications,
unas migajas de esos dividendos
a crumb from that dividends were given to USAID and the government of USA in several administrations to these criminals and thieves from Guaidó bought mansions, and danced with prostitutes in bars in Miami. So gross is the blockade and sanctions. In a way that it is easy to say, I repeat it, but it hasn't been that easy. And even when it hasn't been that easy, it would be enough from any one of you, every one of you. Go out to the Caracas streets, walk through the Prosper's Avenue that has been very nice adorned during the Christmas. Ask to anyone, any inhabitant of these people, how do you feel? How do you see your future? And how do you see Venezuela? And the big majority would say, I am feeling okay. I am feeling happy. And Venezuela will win. We defeated them. And it is not a modesty. It is the truth. They couldn't with us. And we have to say like very high. They couldn't with us. Like a motto. They couldn't. And as usual, in a hypocrisy way, they use futile excuses. President Maduro has said that they call them like a gross narrative, an extravagant one. And it is. In a guest program of drug fighting, Abel was saying that just speaking like more doctors, less bullets. The problem of the dependence, the drug, it is a medical problem. It is a health problem. It is a family problem that should be treated in all its ways. And it comes out that this administration has cut all the funds destined to attending people with this kind of drug addiction. But I say even more, 20% of the fleet from the U.S. Army, from this bloody army in the history, the bloodiest army, deployed in the Caribbean Sea to fight against the drug. And from this sea only crosses the 3% that come from the productive country. And the majority of that drug that goes through the Caribbean, goes through Europe. Hypocrisy, pure hypocrisy. One of the grossest narrations, extravagant narration. As overwhelming was the massive weapons in Iraq, or the what they blew the main in Havana. All those extravagant narrations ended in wars. Wars to isolate Venezuela, to scourge Venezuela, a war to destroy the country, the national people, together with their lackeys, with their nail bent, that fortunately they are a minority, a very small minority portion of the Venezuelan people, to come here to steal the oil, the gold, water, and the precious stones that belongs to the Venezuelan people. They do not belong to any monsieur. It belongs to the Venezuelan people. That's the main goal. They say that. in a confession. This is the proof. Monroe Doctrine 2.0. The same president of the United States said that. Trump. He honors the Monroe Doctrine. When Monroe was ambassador from United States in France and Great Britain, he heard the Miranda's ideas that Bolivar made himself in 1810. And in those Miranda's ideas was pointed that it wasn't enough with independence, that the integration of the Latin American people was indispensable to be stronger, to avoid to be again colonies from empires, Europeans, or the newborn North American empire. Before Balkanization term was appeared, that has to be with the destruction of Yugoslavia and United States and NATO. Before that, as a fruit of the Monroe Doctrine, Miranda's dream and Simón Bolívar's dream was destroyed, and the big nation from the south, as we were called by North American government, was destroyed and became a country with governors that hate each other. That's why the big hope to meetings like these ones. Always there will be an aggressive empire. Always there will be the intention of being the owner of the world, of fascist. But when these tries shows, they will find us united. They will find us stronger. They will find us firm. That find us integrated, all the free countries in the world. That topic of fight against drugs, it is a hypocrisy. Between years 2006 2016, selling drugs for consumers in the United States was $1.6 billion. Listen very well. Billions in Spanish, not in English. One followed by 12 zeros. 1.6 followed by 11 millions of $1 billion. And where is that money? To Colombia, to Mexico, to Peru, Ecuador, to Thailand. That money is in United States banks. That money in Florida State. That money is in the political accounts. That money is in the fiscal paradise in Europe, Panama, Dominican Republic. That money, that dirty money, is fattening just the white supremacists in the world. And to America, the deep America, destruction, death, weapons and bullets. More than 80 people have been killed in the last 4 months. Killed, assassinated, extrajudicial executions, where there is no action, judicial action, on the side of any trial in the world, any prosecutor in the world, where people have no right to defend themselves, not even can show that they were committing a crime. And when you ask to some of these people from the U.S. government if there were drugs, with the biggest lie they say, yes, there was, but we couldn't find because of the bombing. They say that. So shameless, because they are shameless. Fascism is shameless. Mainly they have a high degree of shame. That means that every year, $150,000 million, 150,000 million are spent in USA to buy drugs. I'm going to ask 4 months after this operation if they have diminished, in what proportion they have diminished the drugs in the markets of USA, beginning by the main problem of that depending on United States right now is not cocaine or marijuana, are the opioids. It is the fentanyl. So the big pharmaceutical enterprise that during all this year they were selling just these opioids without any control. The opioid epidemic in the United States. I would say that we are defending ourselves. We are peaceful people. We are peaceful people. By an initiative from President Maduro, we create a national council from the National Assembly in Venezuela, a national council to all could hear each other and all could be united in this crusade for peace in Venezuela. But not any kind of peace. Not the peace of the bent ones. Not the peace of the yield. Not the peace of the slaves. We don't want that peace. We love peace, but the peace of women and free men, the peace of the untamed people, the peace of sovereign people. We are not asking this aggression. We do not ask for lies where around Venezuela. We are peaceful people. But be sure that if in any case that an aggression comes to enter in this sacred territory from the Venezuelan Bolivarian Republic or to our sacred sky or our rivers and sacred seas, be sure that we're going to fight. And we have any other thing to give but our own life to defend this sacred land. Take with you all this truth with you. And take just the truth. President Maduro, people from Venezuela, all, even the ones that they have not the same ideas, we are united around that what is common to us, the land where are resting the remains of our grandfathers by fathers, the sea that is watching our kids going to school, the flag, the hymn, the word Venezuela. All of you, the ones that are in the third age or arriving, we all have our poems. And poems that we have always are the youth poems, our poems from youth. Those hands feverish that for the first time saw, because it is seen, it can be read from Palo Neruda's sings that comes with us all the time. wake up the good man. I don't want the blood to come back to soak bread, beans. I want the girl, the lawyer, the seaman, the dolls maker to go to the movies and go out to drink the reddest wine. I came in here to sing, and you to sing with me. We are in here to sing with you, to sing with the whole life, to the liberty, to the future, to the sovereignty, to independence. And we ask you, sing with us, stay with us. This land, it belongs to you. A hug.
We're listening to the statements of the Venezuelan President of the National Assembly here in the opening ceremony, the opening stage of this Assembly of the Peoples for Sovereignty and Peace for our continent of America, denouncing once more the actions, the U.S. actions against the Caribbean nation, against the Bolivarian nation, the military threats of its military deployment that is currently in the Caribbean. A clear message is coming from this Assembly that it becomes a platform, a structure that provides concrete results and action plans to respond to the U.S. threats, to preserve the unity of the region, as Jorge Rodriguez was saying. The needs when the U.S. empire tries to attack the peoples of Latin America, they should find a united people, a dignified people that is willing to defend the sovereignty of their nation with all their might, with everything that they have. As you were saying, we were listening to different statements coming from the president of Casa de las Americas in Cuba, Abel Prieto, the foreign minister Ivan Hill, and the president of the National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, addressing this opening section of this assembly that will last for a couple of days, where people, delegates, over 400 delegates are gathered from over 50 countries, are gathered in Caracas, the capital of Venezuela, to debate this current situation and to follow and to create a path to follow, to continue to provide a strong response towards the U.S. threats and to continue to make sure that the peoples are united in the face of the U.S. empire threats that try to undermine the sovereignty of Venezuela and to steal natural resources, not only of Venezuela, as the officials have said, because an attack on Venezuela will represent an attack on the entire region. We're going to have more in the coming news brief, so stay tuned with teleSUR English.